Like to call this board of selectmen meeting to order. It is Tuesday, June 4th, year 2024. This is a hybrid meeting, so if you're online and you want to talk during audience of citizen, or you have a statement, you feel you're a subject matter expert and you are called upon, please state your name and your address. Please be respectful, and the board will be respectful to you. Otherwise, we'll pull the plug. I ask you now to join me with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I move to approve the agenda as submitted. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Approval of minutes, I move to approve the regular board of selectmen regular meeting minutes for May 21st. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Audience of citizens. Gentlemen, how are you? I'm good, thank you. Aren't you, because we'd like to see new people here and also young people. If you're taking a class, you have to be involved or just observe what?
Yeah, it's a project for my civics class, we just have to sit for the town meeting. So yeah, when we did, the assignments look like stuff for the community, so we did community service for the last 2 quarters as well.
Good. Tough way to make credits, and we'll try and keep you awake though, okay?
We didn't come during budget season.
Where do you go to school?
Wyndham Tech.
Wyndham Tech. Both of you? And what are you studying in Wyndham Tech?
I do automotive and utilization.
Good, we can put you on our HVAC committee. Let me just tell you, first of all, I'm gonna stick with your field if you like it. Take some business classes somewhere and you will do just fine in life. Anybody in the trades, you know, it's working with computers and automotive now, and certainly HVAC and stuff, it's well beyond it, you know, the guy working the wrenches and the woman doing, you know. Now it's, you can have a very good financial rewarding life. Do very well for families who achieve to go that route, so congratulations, good for you. Okay. Full business update from the Horace Porter HVAC school committee. Building committee. Mr. Len.
So as was reported at the last meeting, the town did get the grant, award, or will be awarded from the state of Connecticut, 52.4%. 2 positions which we've talked about in the past, a commissioning agent, which is required by Connecticut general statute based upon this being a project over $2 million that gets Connecticut grants, were required to hire a commissioning agent, and they have special qualifications. Mark sent out an RFP a couple weeks ago. We had a mandatory walkthrough where the potential bidders came to the school. Bids came back last Friday. The building committee met last night and we had bids for commissioning agent. We received 2 bids. We went through and overall both bidders did meet the minimum requirements based on the evaluation criteria in the RFP. We did as a committee take action to recommend to the board of selectmen that the lowest responsible qualified bidder, we'd like to recommend the board of selectmen consider giving them a contract award. My company's name is Sustainable Engineering Solutions, and they're out of Hill, I believe. So Their price. Came in at 63,300. Which is a couple thousand over what we had. Was in professional engineering estimate that was presented at the referendum in the town meeting last year. So based upon the next bidder, they're close, they're apart. By about $5,700, so I think it's representative of, I think, the market. Like I said, there's not a lot of individuals, as I understand, that are qualified. There is certain licensure to be a commissioning agent to be able to do that. So I'd like to recommend on behalf of the HVAC committee that we move forward with this. The timing is important because part of the commissioning process, it's recommended that the commissioning agent get on board and review the design. As it's going through its phase right now, Civil Petroselli did provide, as of a couple weeks ago, they were a little over 65% or whatever of the design, and they continue to work towards it. So this is a good point where we need a commissioning agent who can, on our behalf, review, make sure that it meets all the high performance standards for connected buildings and all the criteria. So if we get them under contract sooner or later, better position to make sure that we meet the requirements of the state when we go out to bid for the contract.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
We need to figure out how we're paying, correct? Mark?
Well, yes, but it's easier with commission agent, because it was part of the original proposal, state mandated that we passed in referendum.
So that's
Right. What I have to check with Beverly is because we have an entire project approved with referendum up to $6 million with now a state grant and 50%. And we have a previous referendum that gave us $500,000 to get started working, but we probably only have how much is left of that authorization.
Right, so Silver Petroselli was about 401, or a little less. I thought they were like 420.
Okay.
Something. So I believe we have about 70.
So we might have enough in that authorization to cover this first critical step, which is
okay.
and deal, but we're not gonna pay him right away. It'll be incremental as he bills weekly, right?
What do they actually do? Not only for me and my influence, but also for people who read this or listen to it further.
So, they have to, document all levels of the project development and acceptance, they document inspection and testing activities, they make sure that we create operation manuals for all the equipment, they make sure that the equipment meets standards such as ASHRAE standards. There are certain criteria depending on the factors, but in a nutshell, without going through all my stacks of paper here, I mean, they make sure that there's certain requirements, right? It meets certain flow requirement. They make sure that it in fact meets requirements because the standards for what they call high performance schools been out for years now. But they make sure on our behalf, and the state's behalf, because they're putting, 52% of the taxpayers' dollars on this, that it meets the requirements for for renovating school with an HVAC system. So I mean, they're kind of verifying what's been verified. So I mean, the contractors will have to do their own functional testing and verification of what not, right? So Rebecca Selling, as the design agent, will also make sure that there's verifications, and the commissioning agent on top of that performs testing, which in part means sampling, depending on, after balancing testing to make sure that it meets the overall requirements.
Who do they represent? Do they represent our town or do they represent the state? And if they screw up, are they liable to anything? So like we have to pay for building permits and, inspectors now, but if something's wrong, like my septic system, you can't do anything about it. So they hold no liability. So my question for you is, we're gonna pay all this money, do they, and I understand we have to. Just curious, do they hold any liability if they let something go that the system doesn't work properly and for the next 10 years without a limit, 20 years without a limit?
Well, I mean, we require insurance, we had insurance requirements, very much the liability.
And they'll verify that the manufacturers stand up to what they've said that
Okay,
you.
I'm just,
Yeah.
So they'll carry the actual ultimate liability of the manufacturer.
They're right there, the manufacturer of the equipment or the contractor who assured that.
but if they approve it, don't they hold some liability? Just saying.
Professional.
Professional liability, we pay all this money to them. You know, do they hold some liability if they approve something and let something go that wasn't?
I think you've been probably certified in this position. I would think so. It's a good question, but I honestly understand if the state says we have to have one.
We don't have.
to protect us. We don't have a choice. So,
And I think is the. You could claim anything. And in the end, probably litigating it, right? So I mean, in the end, it's really something that's with insurances and whatnot, so. But no, that's good. Didn't dig that deep into.
We had issues with the septic in the house that we moved into. There was nobody to call. It was only a year old. Everybody was gone. And the town stopped liable and the builder was gone. It should never been approved. It's a leach pool.
Make a motion, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to award a contract for commissioning agent services to Sustainable Engineering Solutions out of Rocky Hill in the amount of $63,300.
good enough? Wonderful.
Jen, did you get on?
Any more discussion? All those in favor? I know you're meeting again probably next Monday or Monday after.
The Monday after, yep.
Okay, not this Monday.
We're not scheduled, we can schedule a special review.
No, here's what I would like. Because now the ball is rolled. Money has been awarded. Hiring a commissioning agent and we're getting ready. What I'd like to do, and I would be happy to be there, is to get some thoughts on the process. Like I said, we want to complete it by September 1st, 2025. Let's put a game plan in order to be able to work backwards from that day to meet deadlines that get us to finish by September of 2025. So like commissioning agent was one of the things is if you didn't have one, and we're like already behind on that, and we know we need to step things up. I'd be happy to be there, we'll talk about it. But if there's ideas about the timeline prior to getting there, it'll make the flow go an awful lot easier.
When did you say the next HVAC meeting?
2 weeks from yesterday, said it would have been what, the 17th?
Yeah. Yeah, yesterday was the 3rd, 17.
Okay, so 6, 17, 24, 6 o'clock at school, at work. As
Yep.
always.
So put that out to the other members.
Okay.
And you can provide my number, or whatever, if they have a question about the idea of that, but we'll all look at the board, put on a whiteboard and say, well, you know what, I think this works.
Yeah, no, and I think just as important is, because we're certainly looking to invite Silver Petroselli to give us a status update, and that would be important for them to start that timeline, right? And
Yeah, and mention to Bob, that's the goal
Yep.
of this meeting is to really.
yeah,
focus
the only thing is, I know Mondays tend to not work for Silver Petroselli, so the date might change, but I'll let you know if
Yeah.
good changes.
That's very good.
The other,
Yeah, now. Project manager,
yep,
I need to talk to Bev, because I need to know. In this resolution, do we need to identify the funding source, because your. Commissioning agent was already approved and in the original proposal. But project manager has been added, and that's $75,600.
Yeah.
And you have a recommended project manager you want to move forward on, correct?
yes, you do.
Do you want me to figure out how we're doing the funding source, or do you want to make a motion to hire a project manager, and then I'll figure that out? Well, go
All
for
right,
it.
so the commissioning agent was nice, urgent to get on board right now. When does the project manager basically hit he or she, their clock start?
I mean. I guess in a perfect world, we'd already have them on and they would help us, they would be a third set of eyes reviewing documents and helping prepare the bid documents, but again, is it necessary for them to be on contract today? No, I think it's important, I think the conversation when we have about the schedule, because part of one thing that we will definitely lean on the project manager is to basically drive performance to the schedule, right? And that's part of what this person would be for, right? Because, and again, if I could just give a little more background, maybe for the record, because there's conversations about the new clerk of works or project manager or some variation thereof. One of the benefits of the project manager is they also come with a technical background, so if there's any questions from the contractor on the design, right, and the project manager is there overlooking, watching what's going on, they're better suited to basically relay to supervisors like, hey, the construction, superintendent has a question on X and A can drive performance, and that's one thing that, a firm that we had, that we'd like to recommend was big on pushing that. And also one thing I think it's fair to mention, the firm that we do want to recommend, they're just right down the road in Lebanon. And part of their proposal includes not billing us when they come to our meetings here. So what we basically asked for was 10 hours a week in theory for 13 months, which is about 560 hours if you do the math. But they wouldn't bill us out of that 560 when they do come support.
Take the time out of that.
Yes,
5,
yes,
6,
yeah,
for me.
yep.
Okay.
Yep. So
But I don't care about that as much as you're confident in the project manager company we're looking at. Okay, so to pay for that. That's what, can we talk freely on this? So I went to the school board meeting last night in the subcommittee, and they have had a very good year when it comes financially. And I'm gonna say this, and this, if you're out there, you think you're gonna write about it on Facebook or whatever, here's the truth of the matter. They have secured a number of grants they did not expect to get this year. They've gotten them to the tune of about, I think they said $300,000. Okay, they've also had some money saving things happen. Somebody took unpaid leave. They saved money on transportation. We're getting a rebate because we didn't have enough buses. It's an unfortunate rebate, but we got it. The tuition line, we got a little rebate on there because of some different things. The bottom line is they have over $500,000, not to their budget from a year and a half ago, just because some things have fallen well on the financial side for the town of Columbia and the education department over there. They have numerous small jobs. They have one big job. The oil tank over there needs to be replaced. We're looking at about $200,000 to $15,000 to do that. And they have numerous small jobs, about 10 or 11 of them that they think could take another $75,000 to $90,000. Right? So in essence, they have 200, 215 to give back to the town right now. That was here, she'd tell you that's not certain, things could change, but she doesn't expect it to very much. So this is not a town responsibility for the selectmen because it's a municipal building. This is a community endeavor. So if we said to the school, and we're going to have to check with that, this is one option where we say, can you upfront put money aside out of that 215, 220 to pay the first 75, 600 for a project manager? It could be there. So the town gets back less, but anything we get back is more than what we expected. Or we go another route and hold off on hiring until 5-pack
No, it would be board of selectmen, probably to town meeting,
We have to have a town meeting to to move the money around.
And then that would come from general fund, so the school would refund general fund, and we'd be taking out general fund, so it's just. Which,
But it takes time to do it that way.
yes,
right, that's one,
and the only thing about the Board of Ed and the school budget is, as we're often reminded, we appropriate the money. We don't tell them how to spend it. Now, because of a capital project, I don't know if that's much different. We'll have to check a couple of different things. But,
because normally capital transfer requires a town meeting, but if it's a funding from the board of ed that already has an established fund, that might be a nuance.
Because arguably it's professional services, right? I mean, if we ask them to pay for part of the HVAC, I don't know, that's capital because that's multiple years, right? A professional service to review, progress and plan, one, I could argue that, maybe it's an expense versus something you capitalize.
so we'll have to check into that. If we ask the Board of Ed and they say, fine, we understand, we'd like to get this rolling, then they vote on it and they do it. If we have to, if they're uncomfortable doing it that way, and it has to come back to the Board of Selectmen, we may have to call a special meeting to be able to get a vote and see how we're going to get the money, and then set a town meeting to clarify it, okay?
So do you want to make a motion to actually agree to hire the project manager that the committee is recommending, and then we figure out
Right,
funding,
so subject to,
right,
So commencement or hiring date or commencement date, subject to,
final financial approval.
yeah,
May I ask who they are?
sure, so the firm is called J.R. Russo LLC, they're out of Lebanon. So it's a small firm, but Mr. Russo comes with 40+ years of experience in the industry. He assured us, both in the bid, that the projects he currently has already on the books for the summer. He's got 3 schools he's working with, I believe, in Windsor for HVAC. I mean, right now, don't consume a full 40 hours of his day. So he definitely has capacity. Again, we're talking 10 hours a month, right? Some days that maybe 20 hours a month.
then a week. Did you say 10 hours a week?
You're right, it's 10 hours a week, yeah, sorry.
But he can hit us on the way out and like.
I just wondered, he said a week and then said a month. It's 5 hours. Yeah,
It's
yes, that's fine.
on average 10 hours a week, give or take. So, so capacity we're comfortable with. Pricing, I mean, that firm came in, 9,000 less than the next, so there are 3 companies that bid for the project manager. One of the companies, which significantly higher, also was the second firm that bid for the commission. So they offered to do both, but they didn't have hey, if we do both, here's a deal. I mean, it was 2 separate bids that we said if they were qualified, they would be considered for either one of them. They all did meet the minimum requirements, so.
All right, so we're happy with that. You want to make a motion for it?
Sure, so I'd like to make a motion to award a contract for part-time owners, project manager, construction oversight services to J.R. Russo LLC out of Lebanon, Connecticut. In the amount of $75,600, daytime and funding source contingent. What the administrator determines through.
On consultation with the financial IPAC, Board of Ed and Board of Selectmen.
Thank you.
And did you get all that?
Mhm.
Wow. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Well done. Yeah, Chris, yeah, thank you. It's a lot of work and a lot of Monday nights and homework afterwards, so thank you for taking that.
Yeah, no, and again, if I could have one more second, I mean, we've got a very committed team, with a lot of professionals that are in the industry, so without their volunteers and hard work, you know, just keeping the records and organizing stuff for them. They're the background and technically, so I think we've got a great team.
Okay, new business. Discussion on allowing alcohol for summer concert series at Rec Park. State changed their ways of allowing towns to be able to allow beer, wine at, functions such as our Rec Park series. So, I asked Mark to look into it, call around, see what other towns are doing, and
What they don't want is a local retail establishment being able to sell outside their building. So Columbia Liquors will not be allowed to sponsor and sell alcohol at rec anymore. That happened last July. We learned this when we went to do our application. So what they will allow is a distributor, independent distributor, which we found one that would be willing to supply beer, spirits, or whatever. But we have to have a tip certified server, which we have one of our lifeguards is licensed as a alcohol server at Rec Park. So it would be a distributor selling the beer and wine to the town selling it through Rec. And then I talked to Perma, our insurance company, they recommended we take out a tulip policy. So it's an independent policy. And we have anyone who rents our facilities that are using alcohol, take out a tulip policy. It's a standard requirement.
And where there's a surplus of alcohol, does it go back to the distributor?
I think so, because we don't want to be storing. So
Business.
right, so I think what would happen, because then storing it would add other complexity or what if that loose. So I believe you're correct, though. The distributor would then buy back what we don't sell. And we would only do this for the 3 series. So that's the latest on.
Kerma recommended, we do that, other than allow BYOB. Because that makes liability. This year will cover us. I went to all 3 concerts last year, they were great, nobody was sitting back throwing, you know, funnel beers and all that stuff. It was, I tried, but they wouldn't. Come on, thanks. I mean, the bottom line is, it's a good community, they like to have a nice time up there, it's over by 9:05. You know, the park's closed, get out, people, it was great, and we didn't have any trouble. So I recommend we go with the distributor and the tip.
I just, it's sad that our local liquor store.
Is barred by the state.
Just-
$200.
It's funny, it's tip certification, you go through a course, and what they do is they're trained or certified that they see people that may have too much, and it's to not overserve people. And keep an eye on them and make sure they're, you know, not driving if they feel they're impaired and stuff, so. But, all right, so, we have a motion here,
No,
okay. I move to approve the sale of beer and wine at the summer concert series at Rec Park, utilizing the tip certified server, buying from a distributor, and also obtaining a tulip insurance policy. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, Columbia Lake, application for construction on a structure. Yeah, okay. We talk about this every year, it's over time, we don't collect taxes, people have owed us forever, after about 5 years or so, we put them in a suspension pile. If you know these people.
usually they move away.
Long time.
If they come back, we can pull them out of suspension and collect.
So,
We find them.
$10,800.
And if they're related to motor vehicle, then they just can't register
Right.
until they. Then make us whole.
She wanted. Yeah. Okay, so. This is routine. I move to approve the tax collector's suspense list as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor? Now it's going to be late. First time for doing this, but. I move to deny the application for the structure of 5 Lakewood Drive upon a recommendation set forth by Ellen. I was showing pictures of this. The gentleman has a eye, it's a skull. He's got a skull, likes to row. And what he did was, on his seawall, he put 2 boards strutting out into the lake, over the lake. He bolted them into his seawall so he could tie his skull forward and out to the 2, so it wouldn't float away. But it protrudes over the lake. And I have heard that there are families nearby, that young kids are swimming around there, and they swim, can't see lines underwater, they come up and wrap their head on that. Bottom line is it's a hazard, you can't do it. So I agree with Elmac on this to deny this, because I was told of a different device that they could get that sits on the seawall, that they could put their skull up and down. Okay. If you're at the seawall, you're probably up to maybe the highest point, your waist. My guess is mid-thigh. Put your skull up on there, get it off the water. So. Max said I should deny it, remove it immediately, and I agree, but
This structure is only the 2 boards.
it is now. Any discussion?
So if they were to consider what you had said is an option, is that something that they could work with LMAC? Or is it something that has to take place off season because of how this is installed?
I don't think does it impede on the lake bottom that they can't put it up now?
Very rightful, 34 Downey representing LMAC. Our recommendation, and we've seen this around the lake, is there is a skull rack that can be placed on a dock. They have an incredibly wide dock where they moor boat on one side and on the other side, we could put that right. That's our recommendation. We have pictures of those of the couple. To put it on the seawall would not be an infringement of element, because we're essentially from the seawall into the water. So if they chose to do that, and we had kept it on their property, we would not be asked to request a permit for that. And this is over and into the lake. It was reported. From a safety point of view, just real quickly, there were 2 kids and an adult on the right of way, which is the next property, had a noodle. The noodle floated over towards that as I was doing the inspection. And all I could think of was the fact that it's his head on after the noodle. We're liable, because we haven't approved it. The structure was already on, and it was not permitted.
Yeah, did I make a motion? Did I make a motion?
Yeah, you make the motion.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. 4-0. Okay, 8.2, application for construction for Karen Lewis. We received word they have withdrawn the application, so we are going to strike that. And 8.3, update on proposed changes to Columbia Lake ordinances. We also heard word that we're in consultation talks with Deep. They submitted the ordinance there. There's a discussion going on over some wording, so at this time, we're not ready to move forward with that. So 8.3 is all also. Item 9, appointments. It is official, Dan Johnson has left, and so his resignation is now official. Again, Dan, we sorely missed. We are at this time advertising for replacement.
Yes.
Town administrator report.
Just wanted to give a update, we had a, almost 2 hours and 45 minutes of 3 hours, Mary says we'll wrap it up in 3 by the time I got back. But it was, I was told I should have supplied lunch to our volunteers who were touring all of our road and culvert challenges in Columbia. It was an eye opener to everyone who went. Some of the issues we're dealing with water flow and pipe capacity and all different ways that the roads are being damaged, head walls are being damaged, erosion's happening, and all require different solutions. So we toured over 10 properties, 10 sites. And there's still a few members that need to, we're gonna repeat the tour, and then we're all gonna get back together and prioritize based on recommendations from Beth Lunt and the engineering we've already done on these different sites and the knowledge from the committee, and back to the board of selectmen with recommendations, priorities, and which projects did we get going on right away and possibly consider towards this bond that we have pending with the HVAC project.
When we gonna hire a firm to go through and do all the roads, have we?
For paving,
July 1.
for paving, so next year's budget.
I will, Mike Curtis is going to be back after the 17th of this month, so it'll be the 3rd week of June. Okay, great.
In a preliminary talk with Mark on this, in preliminary ruling today, the two that most came up as the worst or in need of attention quickly are the ones that we already appropriated money for engineering. Pine Street and what is it, Thompson?
Thompson.
So we knew it, and they agreed. All right. Anything else?
That's good.
Nothing else? I don't know. I'll remember it tomorrow. Okay. Correspondence, none, budgets, no transfer, no transfer. Excellent. I move to approve payment of bills totaling $157,036.40 for 23-24 emergency, 23-24 regular credit card and paycheck.
I had a question about what was block and erosion, that was all that for the back part, the drainage in the back part.
What are you talking about?
What's the description?
Concrete block, erosion mat, drain pipe, filter fabric, covers, filter fabric, was all, it was like a block.
Well, it's either Red Cross, because they did quite a run to get rid of that pond by the pavilion. And I don't think we did, I don't think that was tied to, what was one we just did, that was all new re-cemented, that whole, no, few.
Bodette
Debt clearance. I don't think that was anything we described. It Bodette clearance would just be built an entire culvert, because it was,
no, we didn't rebuild the entire culvert.
the base where the pipes are coming out, we re-cemented it, right? But that wouldn't have been what we did, right?
Where are you looking for?
The numbers 063489.
Who's not on that, is that supply?
Target,
Who?
Target Enterprises.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just curious.
What was
The legal work for right up to county and see what's near seats.
That was everything to get us to, the two referendums. For the, HVAC project.
Any other discussion?
I would like to point out, we do an organic lawn treatment, and that part, take it.
Look, I was doing the question.
I never ate it actually. Yeah, the little kids are actually walking on non-pesticide.
In town hall.
Yeah. That's awesome. I can take my dog in.
So this reimbursement for the planters and the garden items and stuff that's coming out of that.
That'll come out on 2000.
For the front one?
I have one more irritating question. So we have all these Eversource.
What?
Do we ever keep track of what we get? Is this? Is the Eversource credits from all our solar panels, is that incurred, is that taken into account on all those bills, or is that like a separate credit?
Not positive on that, so I'll find that out for you. And so I think that was Odette. Your question was, it was, concrete catch basin block. We had to rebuild the catch basin. And Cromwell pallet charge. That's what that for that was.
Like everybody camera work. Now,
Keeps the best time.
Worry about the one.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of paying the bills? All right. Why didn't you say it? Nothing? Yeah, nothing? You learned a lot? Yeah, you wanna do this?
yeah, we need you.
Okay, Ian, anything? No, good, thank you. Anybody on the internet?
Oh. We had Jerry doing a lot of this went on.
He was on and off.
Okay.
Okay. Board member comments?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Mark and Jen for organizing the Memorial Day service. That was excellent. And we were fortunate, we had, actually a local, Army major,
Yeah,
Jimmy Locke, who, placed a wreath. So that was nice. He was in uniform and everything. So I think it was added a nice touch. But it was a good turnout. I mean, for a day, it was, looked like it was gonna rain. And it rained held off with just that final movement at the west cemetery, and then so it held off good. So, thank you. Jen, for that.
Okay, thank you for hosting.
What did you say, he was a major?
Yep. Major Jimmy Locke.
Lives in Columbia or just?
there
I
you go.
know.
Yeah. You know, right.
His whole family.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah,
I didn't know he was a major.
yeah, I didn't know what rank it was till it was in uniform, but yeah.
Very good. Okay, anybody else? Good. So at this time, I'm going to suspend the Board of Selectmen meeting and move to executive session. And I would ask that Mark stay with us. We're gonna cut the recording and we're gonna ask you to leave. Gentlemen, at this time, you're not allowed to be here. Thank you. Come back anytime. Oh, no, executive. We're going to resume the Board of Ed. Board of Selectmen meeting at 7:56, 7:56, and we
Went in at 7:40. No action taken.
okay. And with that, Make a motion to adjourn, all those in favor?
Um,
Aye.